and as determined by the international market fuel price and depreciation of the Ghana cedi against its major trading currencies, including the US dollar. However, the constant factor, which are the taxes, levies, and margins or markups on the price buildup, remains a contributing factor in constant determination of the price of petroleum products. The taxes, levies, and margins on the price buildup currently sum up to 2 cedi 43 Ghana cedis per liter of petrol and 2 cedi 41 Ghana cedis per liter of diesel. The soaring and surging in the price of petroleum products do not affect these taxes, levies, and margins, making them a constant burden on the commercial transport operator. Now, the effects of the increments in pricing on transport operations. The recent increment in fuel prices does not correspond to the increment in transport fares. Although prices have been increased by 39.39% between January and November, transport fares have only been increased by 30%, and that took effect in June 2021. These surges in fuel prices do not promote the income and welfare of personnel. Commercial transport operators are the major consumers of petroleum products, and for that matter, contributes more on the clearance of the legacy debts in the energy sector through the Energy Sector Levy Act 2015, Act 899, and the Energy Sector Levy Act 2021, Act 1064. For further information on this average, a commercial taxi driver uses about 5 gallons of petrol a day, thereby spending an additional 54.68 per day, Ghana cedis per day, while the truck driver uses an average of 10 gallons of diesel a day, spending an additional income of 108.45 Ghana cedis per day, and the taxes and levies. These increments have reduced our real daily income because we need to add more money to buy the same quantity of fuel for our daily works. Now, removal of taxes and the margins. Therefore, we call on government to scrap the taxes, levies, and margins on the price buildup. We make this appeal because the commercial transport operator and vehicle user in general cannot continue to pay for debt caused by government appointees in the energy sector again. We can't continue sustain and then subsidize on premix fuel for the fisheries subsector of the economy, since the continuous subsidization of premix fuel has not stopped the importation of fish products into the country. Lastly, crude oil prices are surging on the international market, implying that government is making excess revenue on petroleum receipts, and for that matter, the petroleum and commercial transport operating needed to be cushioned. Briefly, we call on government to scrap totally the price stabilization and recovery levy of the 16 pesewa per liter per gallon per petrol, and then the 14 pesewa per liter per diesel. The special petroleum tax, which is 46 per liter on either diesel or petrol. The energy sector levy recovery levy of 20 cedi per liter on either petrol or diesel, and the sanitation and pollution levy, which is 10 pesos per liter on either diesel or petrol. And lastly, the scrap of the energy debt recovery levy of 28 pesewa on either diesel or petrol, since the arrears of the legacy debt owed to the bulk distribution companies have been cleared. Now on the action column.
And welcome back. More in the show.
30 to 150 cedis. At the end of the day, how much profit do we get?
Bibia bo be kosro mam adenga na ade say ezi Akufuado papa say nipa nya de o ma we Akufuado wo patro no ntobi.
Everything is expensive in this country. What do our leaders want us to do? They don't even buy fuel. I use all my profit for fuel. It's like I work for the filling station.
50 cities we have fancy me to petrol crowd. Dey am to petrol 50 cities musumi esen 1,005. Bizama say me taxi driver na me take me twino. Musumi uk taxi scan trotro driver. Obi am say musumi uk taxi scan.
Say aban betimi aye ho bibi no aboy wo diesel no ho ma ye ho so beto e kakra. System na wo no ye passenger for no
If the government can help us with reduction of fuel prices, we'll be glad. We'll go on strike if the price increment continues.
One two tickets on my cost right so you ever could leave. Fu any day, no two day, if you're Dawson. Because first no crano, no to fu ebia utofuokrabe 1.5 krona.
The continuous fuel price increase is becoming unbearable. We used to buy 150 cedis fuel a day, but now 200 cedis can't last for a day.
Say I buy one no you be my na no odin fu na sam da no odin say the abure so dey never for dey tugu amusa
dia no yelodu na yeko meduma na passengers ne yeko ada ya mo se eze no lorry fare no boy den.
We always quarrel with the passengers every day because of the increase in lorry fare.
Ade ba chi bia na atum ndide bia na ma ye no ya driver for no ye ho kire yi na passengers for no so ho kire omo tie ne tembia no na ye ne passengers no enya ntokwa ne de ne tembia obi fo ka bia no ne.
To 50 visa, musumi esen 1,005. Bizama say me taxi driver na me take me twino. Musumi uk taxi scan trotro driver. Obi am say musumi uk taxi scan.
Say aban betimi aye ho bibi no aboy wo diesel no ho ma ye ho so beto e kakra. System na wo no ye passenger for no
If the government can help us with reduction of fuel prices, we'll be glad. We'll go on strike if the price increment continues.
Transport unions, threatened to embark on a sit-down strike today from 3 p.m. They intended to take commuters to town today, but will embark on a strike action from 3 p.m. if they didn't hear anything favorable from government. Now, they want some 5 taxes scrapped from the price build-up in terms of the petroleum products. Now, take a listen to them.
We call on government to scrap totally the price stabilization and recovery levy of the 16 pesewa per litre per gallon per petrol, and then the 14 pesewa per litre per diesel. The special petroleum tax, which is 46 per litre, the energy sector levy recovery levy of 20 cedi per litre on either petrol or diesel, and the sanitation and pollution levy, which is 10 pesos per litre on either diesel or petrol. And lastly, the scrap of the energy debt recovery levy of 28 pesos on either diesel or petrol, since the arrears of the legacy debt owed to the bulk distribution companies have been cleared.
So during the press conference, what they said was that if government didn't do anything about it, they would embark on a sit-down strike starting today.
On Thursday, from 6 o'clock up to 3 o'clock, we will take the workers to workplace. And from 3 o'clock, we cease to work. We will not work again.
Now is the time for us to flex the muscles and see who will bite first. We are ready. We will face them till the right thing is done here.
So the battle lines have been drawn. Interestingly, we know that there was a meeting between the Transport Ministry and the transport unions, and there's been a call by the GPRTU to some of these, to the transport unions, not to embark on the strike action today. As to whether they will listen to it or not, we'll be finding out this morning right here on Love in the Morning on Love 99.5. But for somebody like you, what do you make of the call from these transport unions? They're asking for 5 taxes to be scrapped. What do you make of it? Are you in support or you are against? And if, it doesn't happen, the fact that they intend to have a sit-down strike, how is that going to affect you as well? But before we delve into all that, I have with me on the phone lines Eric Inkum. Now, Eric Inkum is with our events and promotions desk. And a while ago, you heard in that advert that we're bringing to you the 2021 edition of the Love FM Habitat Fair. It's going to be on the 26th. It's going to end on the 28th of this month, November. Eric, good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
All right, so many people have heard about the fact that we have this event coming up on the 26th. It's going to end on the 28th. They're really excited about it. If I tell you the number of people who've asked questions as to what they'll be getting when they get to the grounds, it will blow your mind. So we don't want to disappoint. Tell us, how is preparation for this event going like?
Dave, personally, I've also received a lot of calls with regards to Habitat Fair 2021 happening live at the Kumasi City Mall on the 23rd to 28th of this month, November. And in fact, everything is on course. Everything is on course. Preparation is ongoing. Site plan, everything is on course. So we can assure all advertisers that the benefit they are going to get when they partner Love FM to bring to you or to bring to the general public Habitat Fair 2021 is going to be enormous. It's going to be enormous. Dave.
All right, and of course, our patrons are looking forward to an exciting time. What should they be expecting when they join us at the Kumasi City Mall for the 3 days event?
Dave, prices of goods and services these days is quite expensive. So the reason we put together this Habitat Fair is to bring together advertisers who reduce their price to its lowest cost, so that each and everyone can afford to buy one. We are bringing on board so many things. That is when it comes to building, construction, air conditioning, TV, jacuzzi, everything. Sale of land, if you want to buy land as a young man, they are going to give to you at a discount rate. And if you don't have the bulk money to buy in full, all you do is that they will give you a flexible payment term so that you pay the money in bed. So in fact, there are so many packages that vendors are going to give to patrons who pride the Kumasi City Mall. But one thing that we are going to do is that next week Friday we are going to have a mini clinic at the forecourt of Love FM for patrons to have a feel of how the Habitat Fair is going to look like.
All right. And indeed, for those who are listening to us who will be coming there as patrons, it could be, for example, that you just began, you're looking for a land to buy. If you come there, you have people who have lands available, litigation-free lands. You can buy from them. Aside from that, for those of you who, for example, you launch some finance and financial support, we're going to have some people there who will be giving you some support in that stead as well. Maybe you're done and you just want to finish, stuff inside. So you're looking for furniture, you're looking for television, you're looking for bathroom stuff. It's all going to be available for you. And between now and the 26th, you'll be hearing much more from us. But Eric, is there space? Is there still space for people who are into this business who would like to come and showcase what they have? Because indeed, I know that there are new technology to building and they will be there. But for somebody who's listening to us and the person has things that he or she would like to come and display and sell, do we still have space? And if there is space, who do they contact?
Dave, as I speak to you, we have a lot of vendors, registering who want to be part of the Habitat Fair 2021. But I can assure you that we still have some space, even though it's not too much. But then if you want to be part of it, you can call this number for further clarification, 02455 94425. The number again, 02455 94425. If you call this number, we'll help you to get a space so that you can exhibit every product that you you want patrons to lay their hands on.
Everything Habitat. Eric Inkum, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Dave.
And get to the office quick so we talk some more. All right, so still with me in the studios. He's been here. He's been quiet. I don't know whether there's transport fares, the threat from the transport unions is getting to him. Eugene Osetutu is our fact checker. He is right here with me in the studios of Love 99.5. Brother, good morning.
David, good morning. And a little bit on the Habitat fair. I encourage people to, patronize some of these activities. When you read the 2021 population census, you indeed notice that 20% of structures in Ghana are uncompleted. Yeah. It means that people have invested heavily in buildings, but they cannot complete. So it means that when you take one out of, or when you see every 5 structures,
they say
in Ghana,
1 out of 5.
At least one is uncompleted. So go to the Habitat fair and you get, roofing, all the cheap, stuff. Because when you today we are talking about petrol, and petrol affects all these prices.
Yes, indeed it
so
does.
When you go to the, the Kumasi City Mall, you get some of these prices at their lowest prices, as Eric said. So please go there so that you can recoup your investment. And complete
one big question what we're asking people this time around for the Habitat Fair is, which do you prefer? And I'm going to ask you a personal question. Which one do you prefer? To buy or to build?
David, I have weird specifications when it comes to building. So I think that I'll go for building.
You want to go for building?
Yes, but sometimes when you also consider the whole hula balloon about the land administration system, it's better, Charlie, if you have the means, you buy and
you just buy and go.
But for me, I think that
you want to build.
I'll build. Yeah.
And you'll be there. And you'll be engaging with the exhibitors. And Michelle comes in the next 5 years from now. Oh,
yeah, I'll be there because actually the 27th is my birthday. So I'll spend the whole day at the city mall. So, yeah.
I hear you. All right, so let's talk about fuel prices as, seen some increases. We began January and per litre it was sold at 4 cedis 86 pesos. Today is the 11th of November and it's going for 6 cedis 90 pesos. And the jump is big. Now, if you look at the jump presently, from 4 cedis 86 to now 6 cedis 90 pesos, it is big. And, somebody would argue and say it's roughly some 41.97% increase from January till date. And that's quite disturbing. So it comes as no surprise that the transport operators themselves have, called on government to scrap 5 of the taxes on the price build-up. And they are saying that if the government does not heed their call, they'll go on a sit-down strike. In fact, they had wanted to go on the strike today. We are not too certain whether they have decided not to, or they will still go ahead, because we know that the GPRTU is calling on them not to. But for you, our dear listener, do you support the call from these transport unions? There are about 16 of them. Do you support their call asking government to scrap 5 taxes? So what have you been able to gather so far?
So, David, my job is simple. I'll just give a little bit of historical perspective when it comes to our deregulation setup. Then I will also explain how the prices of fuel arises or they come about. Then I'll also talk about some of the taxes the driver unions want government to scrap, the actual money or sum they contribute to the price build-out. So, David, on June 16, 2015, the government of Ghana implemented the price deregulation of petroleum products and, gave that authority to the OMCs, which is the oil marketing companies. So it means that the determination of prices, which was formerly done by the MPA, has been given to the OMCs to do that. So it means that they normally say that government has no control over petroleum prices. But David, as a researcher, I would say that is palpable falsehood. When you come to the prices of petroleum product, there are 3 basic components that goes into the pricing of petroleum products.
And before you run us through those components, let's encourage our listeners to also join us on Facebook. We're live on Facebook, LUV 99.5. Join us there. Watch that press conference that was held by these transport unions as they react to the hikes in fuel prices. Take a listen. Watch them. Their body language would even say volumes to you. And then you would also hear from Ghanaians who themselves are also speaking about these fuel, increases. And you can drop your comments there as well. We're asking a simple question. Do you support the call from these transport unions asking for the 5 taxes, at least for those 5 taxes, to be scrapped? Do you support it or you don't? Let's hear from you on Facebook.
Yeah, David. So as I was saying, the government of Ghana implemented the price deregulation of petroleum products since June 16, 2015, with the OMC determining the prices rather than the National Petroleum Authority. So what someone asks, what is deregulation? It basically means the removal of government control on petroleum products, prices, and the removal of restrictions on establishments and operations, including refineries and depots and all that. So it means that a private OMC, I don't want to mention anyone for promotional purposes, but they can set up their own depots and all that. But David, government still has control. So if anyone says government has no control over the price of petroleum products, I say it's palpable falsehood. There are 3 basic determinants that goes into the pricing of petroleum products: the world market, which government has no control over, the exchange rate, and also taxes. I struggle to understand why anybody looking at the exchange rate and also taxes will say government has no control over. Indeed, the vice president, the head of the economic management team, taxes are also levied by government. We don't put taxes on our own product. But David, that said, let me just give you some little history from 2015 on the price of petrol averagely. So I take the prices, let's say at January, at December, then you do the averages. 2015, petrol was selling around 2 cedis 77 pesos. Diesel was selling at 2 cedis 64 pesos. When it comes to 2016, averagely for the entire year, petrol was selling at 3 cedis 67 pesos. Diesel was selling at 3 cedis 67 pesos. When it comes to 2017, petrol was selling at 4 cedis 47 pesos. Diesel was selling at 4 cedis 46 pesos. When it comes to 2018, averagely, petrol was selling at 4 cedis 93 pesos. Diesel was selling at 4 cedis 93 pesos. When it comes to 2019, petrol was selling at 5 cedi 35 pesos. Diesel was selling at 5 cedi 35 pesos. Then you reduce to 2020. Petrol averagely was selling at 4 cedi 74 pesos. Diesel was also selling at the same price, 4 cedi 74 pesos. 2021, when you do the average, we are now hitting 6 cedi 60 pesos. 6 cedi 60 pesos. That's at November 2020.
But what he means is that there are people who might be selling it above that figure.
About averagely.
Yes, averagely, I understand.
When you take about 10 OMCs and you strike the average.
Yes.
But David, let's know that. Let me mention it. Let's know that some of the prices, the reason why they are up is that when you take Shell, Total, and Gold, they just make up about 60% of the price market. So it means that normally their price, have a certain leverage on the
and no one
market.
Theirs is hovering around the 6.90 pesos.
6. That's why I work at the averages.
Yeah.
So David, when you come to January 2021, when you started the year after the Yuletide period in December 2020, we were selling petrol around and diesel the same price around 4 cedi 85 pesos. 4 cedi 85 pesos.
Well, my check says 86, but don't worry, let's go.
Yes, you drive, so I'll yield to you. I don't drive. So, but when you check the current price as of November 2021, averagely, we are selling at 6 cedis 80 pesos. I know some OMCs are selling at 6 cedis 90 pesos. Forgive me,
and
but
others are selling,
averages.
and even some are selling at 65 pesos.
65 pesos.
Yes.
So that's why I said the average.
Yes.
So as of November, the average price is 6 cedis 80 pesos. Now, Dave, when you do the percentage, it means that between January 2021 and November 2021, petrol has been increased by at least percentage point of 41%. At least 41%, because I know there are some fractions. Again, petrol has been increased no less than 16 times from January to November 2021. Now, David, when you come to the OMCs, they are arguing that certain five categories of taxes levied on petroleum products should be scrapped. And David, let me state on record that the current price build-up, there are about 12 taxes that are currently on petroleum products. Indeed, when you read from the Institute of Energy Studies and all that, you notice that our current price of about 6 cedi 80 pesos, there are about 40 to 45% of taxes that is levied on such product. So the driver argued that one, the energy sector recovery levy must be taken out, the sanitation and pollution levy must be taken off, the energy debt recovery levy must be taken off, the road fund levy must be taken off, the special petroleum levy must be taken off. Let me just give you a little bit of history there.
And before you do, for want of time, we would want for you also to tell us about the concerns raised by these various transport unions, the percentages on the taxes that they have talked about, and if we should take away those taxes, how much we be buying fuel for per liter. We want you to do all that for us. But this morning he's a very, very busy man, but we're fortunate to have him on the phone lines, and we want to have a very quick chat with him. I'm talking about the national chairman for the GPRTU, Nana Nemako Bresiama. Nana, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I trust you're well.
I'm doing well.
We thank God. Now, very quickly, we just want to allay our concerns and our fears. Will the sit-down strike, as you guys mentioned, come off today?
Okay. My one greetings to viewers of Live FM and Co. The strike has been suspended for the meantime.
When you say it's been suspended for the meantime, break it down for us. What happened? How come you've suspended it for the meantime?
We decided to go on strike today by 3 p.m. But after our press conference, we were called by our sector minister and the Minister for Information. We discussed many things. They gave us directive to bring our petition to them so that they can convey it to the government and to see what they can do about it. Yesterday, we did that. So we decided that we can't give a big institution like transport and information ministry just one day to get to the platform. So we have decided that we are waiting until they read the budget on Monday. So Tuesday, if you don't hear anything, we shall carry on what we intend doing.
When you said Tuesday, if you don't hear anything, what are you hoping to hear? First of all, what did your petition say? What did it carry? And what do you mean by if you don't hear anything by Tuesday, you go on the strike?
Okay, we have put everything we want the government to do on paper for him. So we are waiting for them to discuss and give us better reply.
Now, in that petition, did you state that you wanted government to scrap taxes on those 5 that you mentioned?
That's right. We said it.
You said it's in the petition. And
right.
and so you are waiting to see what the budget presentation would say about it.
This is all what we are after.
Okay. If, for example, the budget is presented and nothing is done about your call for the scrap of these 5 taxes, what would then happen?
So that we just when we reach everybody to see how to close it.
But let's talk about how business is like for you. We know that fuel currently per liter is like some 6 it is 90 pesos roughly, or 6 it is 80 pesos. How is that affecting your business as transport operators?
It is affecting us deeply because when we filed for the increment of lorry fare, the government gave us 13%. That time the fuel price was 27 cedis. Now fuel price, as all we know, is about 31, 32 cedis. So if you don't petition and you don't talk about it, we are running at a loss. That's why we are very anxious saying all this.
Well, I have heard people raise concerns, for example, that we are running a deregulated market, and so therefore, if somebody is selling at a higher price, there are others who are also selling at a lower price, and so therefore, you have options. How do you respond to that?
Well, what I know is that there's a saying kind that we are drivers. We use fuel and know what fuel means. If you buy the lower price, even the performance of the engine won't work well. But if you buy the higher price, it will work well. So we try to buy the fuel, the higher one. So we don't want the cheap one.
And you're saying that those who are selling at cheaper rates, their fuel is not of the best quality? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. All what I'm saying is that we need the quality one.
So what about those ones with the lesser prices on them?
We know we have tried and tested. All what I'm saying, I won't condemn someone's business, but what I'm saying that if I have a car, I won't buy the lower one, so I'll buy the higher one.
Again, people are of the view that, well, you have another option in increasing the fares. And indeed, somewhere in June this year, you were giving some 13% increase in fares. So why don't you look at that? Why don't you consider the increase in fares? Why do you want these taxes to be scrapped?
Okay. It's 2 options. We have increased our prices. But we know the taxes on fuel is too much. That's why we are trying not to make the general public feel that always when fuel price goes up, these transport owners and transport operators try to increase price. We are now telling the government to reduce some of the price so that the fuel will be cheaper for everybody to buy and have a very comfortable prices to run our transport.
And as it stands now, you're just waiting for the budget to be presented next week, and then you make your decision. Now, are you sure that all your union members have heard the call not to strike today, and you can assure commuters that as at 3 p.m. today, still transport will be running, trotros and taxis and all will be running?
You have passed all this information to our members, so it won't come on today.
I hear. Well, Nana, thanks for your time with us this morning. I said I was going to brief, so thank you very much. I know you have other things to attend to it, and let's see what transpires after the presentation of the budget next week, and whether you guys will be increasing the fares or the taxes will be scrapped. But Nana, if, for example, let me just chip in this. If, for example, government heeds your call and, let's say, scraps some, not all, but scraps some, let's say meets you halfway, how would you take it?
David, let me tell you something. The prices they are taking now was based on 27 cities. If we scrap to 27, we shall remain at the same price. But if you scrap about only 2 cities, we shall negotiate for another price.
So what you're saying is that for you, it's all 5 taxes should be scrapped.
This is all what we are saying.
If it is, let's say, I'm speaking hypothetically here, if it is scrapped for you, will you transport operators, would you also reduce transport fares?
If it's scrapped and the price comes lower than the 27, we shall reduce it. Because as at now, we are using 27 cedis for transport fares. So imagine if you scrap and come to about 25, 26, we shall also reduce our prices.
I see. Well, thanks, Nana, for joining us this morning. He's the national chairman for the GPRTU. He said he has a very busy schedule today. He was going to give us 5 minutes of his time. But I think that what gives me assurance is the fact that they've decided to, put on hold their strike action today. So commuters should be okay with it. But let's talk about the taxes that they mentioned. How much, levies are on them. And if, let's say, for example, they are taken away, scrapped like they are calling for, how much impact will it have on buying petrol per litre, for example?
Okay, David, so when these levies are introduced and they go to Parliament for it to be rectified, and the GRA, which is the body taxed with collecting some of these levies, there's a reason for it. Now, the 5 taxes the drivers are calling for the scrapping or the removal are the Energy Sector Recovery Levy, the Sanitation and Pollution Levy, the Energy Debt Recovery Levy, the Road Fund Levy, the Special Petroleum Levy. Now, let me give you 3 of them, the deeper perspective of it. When you go to the Special Petroleum Tax, it's a 17.5% on certain petroleum products, which include petrol, diesel, and LPG. It was introduced in November 2014 to increase revenue generation and improve efficiency on revenue collection from these projects. So what it means is that we basically wanted to, improve our gains when it comes to revenue collection in the energy sector. When it comes to the Sanitation and Pollution Levy, which was introduced in the budget of March 2021, it was introduced in the quest of government to ensure quality and sustainable sanitation management. That was the reason why it was introduced. When you go to the Energy Sector Recovery Levy, it was to finance extra or excess capacity charges. So, David, that these 3 basically, comes to 1 point. For example, sanitation, to improve our sanitation gains. We see how Kumasi sometimes can be filthy, the CBD, the Central Business District. So, it means that when some of these taxes are taken off, it means that government will now have to find alternatives to be able to finance some of these things. The road fund, for example, it is to ensure that our roads are worthy enough for these vehicles to travel on, but whether the monies are being applied to, that's also another different conversation. But when you take the Energy Sector Recovery Levy, it's 10%, 10 pesos. When you take the Sanitation and Pollution Levy, 20 pesos. When you take the Energy Debt Recovery Levy, it's 28 pesos. When you take the Road Fund Levy, it's 48 pesos.
And that is the biggest among all of them.
Yes. When you take the Special Petroleum Levy, it's 32 pesos. So when you sum all these 5 taxes that the drivers are calling for the removal, that is 138 pesos. Now, when you take the 138 pesos from the current average price of 60 80 pesos, you come to 542 pesos. The chairman of GPR argues that when they come to 27 cedis per liter. No, per gallon. Per gallon. They will maintain their price, but when it reduces, they also reduce their fares. Now, when you multiply the 5 CD 42 pesos by 4.5, which makes a gallon of fuel, it comes to 24 CDs 39 pesos.
That is if you work with 6.80.
Yes.
But again, if you work with 6.90,
it will even come to 5.52.
5.52, yes.
Yes.
True.
So when you multiply, it will be less than the 27 cedis. So it means that if government is supposed to heed to their call, then commuters and those who use commercial vehicle and those who drive like yourself, David, are to expect, the prices of or a liter of gallon. The gallon, a gallon of petroleum product to be able to, come down. But David, for me, I think that the drivers have genuine concerns because when you check the average price of fuel from 2017 and the number of taxes that have been levied on some of these things, petrol or petroleum product always seem to me has a low-hanging fruit, and therefore successive governments always try to, levy, the pumps more and also take more money from the packet of commercial vehicle. And David, let's not forget, you may be complaining about the price of kinky. When the price of petroleum prices increase, the various farmers of maize and all that, they will transport their wares from the farm gate to the market. The woman also go and buy it and transport it. Kinky will be transported from the kinky house to where they sell the kinky. So petrol affects almost every facet of our economy. And for me, we should find other means to be able to, get some more money to bring development and rake in development for the people, like industrialization, the informal sector. Masons are charging all sorts of wages and all that, but they are not paying taxes. We should find a means to
That is why we're having the re-registration of the
exactly. We should find means to look them in because
and the digitization is going to help in a long way. 0322083596 0322083596. You can call us now. What do you make of the calls by these various transport unions? What do you make of their call? And we're just in November.
Yes.
And looking at how the world market in terms of crude is going, there's a possibility that there's going to be some more increases.
Yeah, David, let me end on that. When you read from the Institute of Energy Study, they say that when you go to Europe, they are entering the winter season, and it means that there will be a high demand for petroleum product because they need heat in the system. So they are even estimating that you end the year by hitting 7.2. And David, I'm not a prophet from Israel, but I know that we certainly hit that figure. Because as for the world price, government has no control over it. It's the taxes and levies that control over.
I have heard people, for example, also say that, listen, in the 2020 budget, we estimated that we'll be selling our crude around some $54 dollars per barrel.
Yes.
Now we've gone beyond that figure.
Yes.
And so therefore there's a windfall. In fact, I have heard Dr. Charles Rekubrobe say that we have a windfall in there. We'll be talking some more about that shortly, so stay with me. 0322083596. What do you make of the call by these transport unions? There are about 16 of them who are asking for 5 taxes to be scrapped. What do you make of it? And they're saying that if government does not heed that call after the presentation of the budget, they will embark on a sit-down strike. Good morning, Sledge. Hello, Sledge. All right, so we lost Sledge on that line. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And what's your name, sir?
I'm George, David.
George, good morning once again, and let's hear you, George.
David, we have voted for people who cannot think to solve the problems of this nation. We are producing oil. Why can't they put measures in place for us to, refine our oil here? David, scrapping all these taxes will not even solve the problem. So our leaders should be able to think on their feet to solve our problems. That is why we voted for them. David, if you take their so-called degrees from them, that means you leave them empty-headed. You see, they have nothing in their heads to think. They just come and talk. Talking will not solve this problem. David, they are taking fuel for free. Everything they do not queue to board transport. So we are all suffering. So the transport operators must go on strike. That is the only language our leaders hear. Thank you, David.
That was George with his thoughts. You can also join us. What do you make of the call by the various transport unions? They amount to about 16, asking government to scrap 5 of the taxes. We've run you through those 5 already. What do you make of those the call from the various transport unions? Emmanuel Elaye, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, David. This is Emmanuel from Christian Service based in Kumasi.
Okay.
And I just want to ask the unions, I think they've gone to say they want that.
Emmanuel, your line there are breaks on your line, so we're not hearing you. So if you can reposition yourself.
Better now?
Not really, Emmanuel. Yes, call us back so we can hear you better. 0322083596. What do you make of the calls by some, transport unions? They amount to about 16. They are calling on government to scrap, some of the taxes, 5 taxes that they've talked about. Joseph is on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Let's hear you, Joseph.
All right, thank you. Dave, it has been a long time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Happy Merry Christmas in advance.
Emuchika crowd, but Chalo the same many happy returns.
All right. You see, Dave, this very morning, what pertains main is the fact that we are hearing the GPRT organizations saying they want to embark on a demonstration. But as we speak to the issue, this same organization really played a key role that took MDC to opposition. And so analysis made it clear to the general public, just this year alone, if I heard you right, almost 16% of increment of fuel prices.
16 times.
16 times.
Yeah.
So if
about 41.9% this year.
All right. So what were they seeking? What were they waiting for when this increment were going on? They never thought of going and backing on demonstrations. And now the year has almost ended. And what are they saying? they want to go on demonstration. Left to me alone, I think it is fair to them because there's always a word that says that if you throw a ball or a stone at the wall, it bounces back to you. So if they want equality to be made, they should always try to be plain. You don't have to treat the other bad and treat others like they are queens and they are chiefs. When it happens that way, the nation doesn't move on. So, to me, I'm happy that things are going on very well. I'm happy that it is happening to them this way. And I wish that what they are asking the president to do will not be done.
I hear you. Those are the thoughts of Joseph there. But you know, if you have spent countless hours praying for showers of blessings, your miracle could be right around the corner. Airtel Tigo is making it shower huge cash prizes, data and call minutes in the Airtel Tigo Tugu Misu promo. From now to December, people all over Ghana will be winning awesome prizes every hour, every day, every week, and every month with the grand cash prize of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Now, all you have to do is simply dial *500#.
Bibia bo be kosro ma mti atengan ade say Akufuado papa say nipa nya de o ma we Akufuado wo patron ntobi.
Everything is expensive in this country. What do our leaders want us to do? They don't even buy fuel. I use all my profit for fuel. It's like I work for the filling station.
50 cities we have fans me to petrol crowd. Dey am to petrol 50 cities ah. Musumi esen 1,005. Bizama say me taxi driver na me take me twino. Musumi ukita says can trotro driver. Obi am say am say musumi ukita says can.
Say aban betimi aye ho bibi no aboy wo diesel no ho ma ye ho so beto e kakra. System na wo no ye passenger.
Do you support the call by these transport unions?
I don't think there is a single person who doesn't support this. David, I think we should, not just government, because the government that will come after this government, they should find ways of taxing that, workers. People who doesn't pay tax, they should widen their tax net. It's like, okay, they are being lazy. They're not so poor. It has become a privilege for somebody to drive a car. So then you people will be taxed. David, these days we cannot go to the big companies to buy fuel. We are going to the small ones. They are cheaper. David, who doesn't support this? Taxes. How?
Well, tell me, there are many people who are not in support of this call by the transport unions, but you have your point to make.
Maybe those people, they don't buy fuel. They don't buy fuel. They don't take transport. Maybe they have been watching or they have been using bicycles.
Well, thanks, Lech. But the argument is that we are calling for development. We want our roads to be fixed. We want hospitals. We want schools. We want this. We want that. And that is why we need to be taxing Ghanaians so we can be able to get the development we're looking for. But let me speak to Prince. He's on the line right now. Prince, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome, boss.
Thank you. Please, I want you to support the activities of the transport operators. Because over the years, I think they've realized that it's really the masses that are suffering. When government increases the petroleum prices, they also increase the fares, and then it tend to suffer. So now they are going for the cure. They are asking for reduction, elimination of these taxes, so that these gains can also be transferred to us, the commuters. So I think it's a good thing. The other day I went to the gas pump, something that I've been buying for 80 cedis for LPG gas. I had to buy it at 135 cedis. And we said, development, we should live to enjoy development. We can't die before we are told that this generation is going to rather benefit. So we need it now.
Did you say 135 Ghana?
135, 135 cedis. That I was buying for 80 cedis.
I bought the last one, the time I filled my 2 cylinders, I bought it around 120 Ghana. So 135 surprises me, Kakra. But
it's now 135.
Wow.
Just 3 days ago.
And yet
so
we don't want people to use charcoal. We don't want people to use firewood.
Think about that. Think of how realistic is that.
Prince, thanks for joining us. Hassan is also on the line. Hassan, good morning.
Good morning, David.
How are you, sir?
Alhamdulillah, I'm okay. Yourself?
I'm well, but people are calling for some taxes to be scrapped. I don't know what you make of it.
200%, I support it. Dave, I work in that system. I know how it works. I buy fuel, and I'm in the transport and business too. So I know how the commuters and the drivers are suffering. I think I'm really in support of them. This government is heartless. It really doesn't think about the masses. To be very honest with you, yesterday I had a problem with my people because I'm a leader of one of the GPRTU stations. To be honest with you, it's not easy. I support them 200%. Dave, you buy fuel, you know how it is. So it's not easy.
I hear you, and
That's
those are
my
the
take
thoughts.
on that.
Thanks for joining us with your take, Hassan. There, 0322083596 is the number to call. Let's go to Alaba. Is it Kalusha? I have Kalusha.
Yes, David. Good morning.
I wish you were here to see how they've spelled your name, but good morning to you, Kalusha. Let's hear you.
Good morning, David. David, good show. I like your problem. As much as one of the ministers said in Parliament that these taxes need to remain in order to make sure government had money to develop the country. That is Mr. Akuetteh. I heard him right. But you see, the transport unions is long overdue. If we sit down quietly, the government will keep on imposing more taxes on it in the name of developing the country. But if we as a country resist it, he will find another way to get money and develop, which will not affect us. We are coming from COVID, and I believe that every entity, had its share of COVID. And up to now, people are not, fully out yet. And these taxes here and there, gas, petroleum, oh, come on, David. Come on, I'm in support of them. If they need to have embarked on the demonstration today, what are they waiting? The longer they waited, the more effect on us. I support them.
I hear you.
As I said, long overdue.
I hear you. And indeed, I listened to Akuetteh with Evans Mesa somewhere this week, and he says that he thinks that some of the taxes ought to be looked at again. So that's on record. Otis is also on the line with us this morning. Good morning, Otis.
Good morning, Akuetteh. I hope you are doing well.
I am well, but I would love to hear your take on the call from some of the transport unions for a scrap of some 5 taxes. What do you make of it?
I think that all of us should join, in this call. Because you buy fuel, don't you?
Yes,
if nothing is done about this, in some few months' time to come, you will have to park your car and then walk to the website. And I wonder if you can do that. So this one is not a call to only the GPR2 and then all those who are managing that. But it's for all people who use the vehicles or who use transport or who buy fuel. So I think that all workers, what are we waiting for? Because if they sit and they do not drive, myself and you, we cannot go to work. So it means all teachers, nurses, all workers, we have to join them. Or we just sit. That is it.
Well, those are the thoughts of Otis as well. Otis, thank you very much for calling us, and you're most welcome. Nanaya is on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dave.
Nana, how are you?
By God's grace, I'm doing good.
Let's hear you, sir.
Yeah. Dave, I would like to divert a bit. I think I've spoken about this, and I want to repeat it. It's about the Kenyasi Road. I don't know if I told you. When I told you, I don't know if you've gone to also inspect yourself. The assemblyman there led his people, and they have used this twine to, bypass the road. And unfortunately, they used a rod for that twine on the road, and it has destroyed.
Oops, sorry about that, Nanaya. And I think I recall that concern you raised. I know you're listening to me. So I'll call the urban roads on this issue. Nana, let me speak to some people. Let's speak to some callers. I'll tell you what I gathered. And before we end the show, I'll tell you about it. Daniel is on the line. Good morning, Daniel. So the line trip, we lost everybody on the line. Apologies to each and every one of you who was holding on the line. Now, so back to you, Nanaya. I spoke to the regional boss for the urban roads, and he said to me that, well, he hasn't seen it, and some of the times this does not come from them. It sometimes comes from the metropolitan areas, or the municipal areas, or the districts. They come together and do some of these things just to protect life, and that's how come they do some of these things. And I asked whether it is lawful. And he said, well, he cannot speak to that. So I had to call the MTTD boss. And he told me that he was going to do something about it. So once you've brought it up again, I'm going to take it up. And you say it's around the Kenyasi Road. I'll take it up again. I know that even getting towards the Hinsign Estates in that area, Mackenzie area, there are some of these same twines or ropes that have been used to cross the streets being used for speed ramps. So I'll check it up again and speak to the MTTD and see if indeed it's not going to help us, we should take it off. Daniel is back on the line, I'm told. Danny, good morning one more time and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. David, I'm a driver myself.
Okay.
We are paying for road working and paying to booth to pay this money. And this money all the government
plus the road fund, huh?
Yes. We are paying all these things. And our roads too, they are not good. And moreover, you are putting taxes on petrol too. Now how can now since last month, if I go to work, David, I buy petrol before I close from work. If I buy petrol, the money will finish. Sometimes it will make only 60 cedis. I'll give chop money to and the children too. David, we are suffering.
Well, he says we are suffering. So let's make one more call and then we wrap up on the phone lines. But let me share this with you. You know, Japan Motors has great news for you this month of November. Get your Nissan vehicles inspected by their...
Because first no fuel.
The continuous fuel price increase is becoming unbearable. We used to buy 150 cedis fuel a day, but now 200 cedis can't last for a day.
Na passengers ne eko ada ya mo se ezeno lorry fare no boy den
80 cedis and 200 cedis.
Doc, good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
Let's hear you, Doc. Do you support this call? I'm well, but I just want to know from you, do you support the call from these transport unions for a scrap of some 5 taxes?
2,000 You know, certain things don't make sense to me. You came into power on the means of we have the men. We have the men. We can do it. Is this what you mean by we have the men?
But the argument again here, Dr. Camaro, is even on the world market, the crude prices have gone up.
My brother, you have power over the exchange rate. You have power over the taxes. And all you can tell me is that, come on, Dave. Ghanaians deserve better.
I hear you.
You told us you have the men. You told us we have the men. Are these the men? What kind of mediocrity is this? People are suffering and you don't show any feeling. So happy of managing the economy. That's what brings us this far. I want them to go on strike. They must bring the government to its knees. They must listen.
Dr. Camaro, thank you also for calling us. Our final caller, Nana, do say good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
And welcome, sir.
Thank you. I hope you are doing well.
Grace has found me.
We thank God. Dave, let's tell the truth. Me, I don't like doing politics. But right now, things is very hard. Look at the way the petrol is going on. Dave, it's too much. We will join the group to do the demonstration. I'm telling you, it's too much.
I hear you.
The government should come again. Thank you.
Nana Dusay, thanks also for calling us this morning. So we're back into the studios. We'll be reading your messages shortly. Leo Stanley Boyd will be joining me. But, you know, Eugene, a lot of debate has gone on. And there are some people who say they are experts when it comes to the energy, the fuel, and all that. And they are saying that, listen, to them, if we say we want development, we want roads, we want hospitals, we want schools, we want this, we want that, we should not be calling for the scrapping of taxes, but rather we should be telling government that, listen, let's say, for example, the Price Stabilization Fund, our levy, we have about 1.2 million or even above that amount, and that should be used to cushion the Ghanaian rather than calling for a scrap of what you call it, taxes. Some of us have also argued, and I mentioned Dr. Reku Brobe 3 weeks ago on the Super Morning Show, says, listen, we have a windfall because we intended to sell crude around $54 per barrel. Now we are way above that. So we're making extra money, and we're an next exporter of crude. So again, that money should be used to cushion Ghanaians. So between the taxes And these monies that have been accrued, where do you think government should really focus attention on to help bring some kind of relief to Ghanaians?
I think that yes, there were over 1.2 billion that has been accrued must kick in to help Ghanaians and commercial transport owners. I also think that when it comes to taxes, yes, as a developing country, we know that the taxes that is built on this country. When you even go to the Scandinavian countries or that people are paying huge sums of taxes to be able to fix their countries and enjoy some of the things they enjoy. So taxes are critical. But for me, I think that we shouldn't always let it be petroleum product because it affects every facet of our economy. David, the 41 increment of petroleum prices from January to November 2021. Has your salary been increased based on that? No. So clearly, if you are buying petrol for around 21, 22 cedis, and in just 10 months you are buying it for 31 cedis, clearly it means that the hardships are there. And David, I've always said that, for this country to develop and learn from the successful models as we've seen. For example, what Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore, the North Koreans and South Koreans, they are producing. Where is Samsung coming from? The small country of Singapore, which you can drive through the entire Singapore, less than an hour. It's a hub when it comes to some of these ships and all that. We have our own Tema shipyard. What has happened to that? Indeed, our own FPSO is Singapore that built it. So for me, the promise of this country lies in industrialization, lies in agric. And we need to refocus our attention to the agri sector. We need to refocus our attention to industrialization. That is where we can employ huge sums of people. And when we start producing our own products and all that, we will not spend $80 million to import toothpick into the country.
And indeed, we talk about even smuggling of fuel into this country. It tells us that elsewhere it's cheaper, and that's how come people would rather bring it from other countries. I'm not saying it's right. No, I'm not justifying it, but I'm just talking about the fact that yes, indeed, our prices are high. Leo joins us in the studios now. He's got some messages on Facebook.
This is from Morgan. He says the call for reduction in fuel from these transport unions are very legitimate. Nothing is working in Ghana anymore. From Kingsley Jikozi, he says, good morning. I think the transport union is making money off the people by always calling for increment of fares. I would say no to some of the taxes being removed, especially the sanitation tax. This is from Agawe Nanoa. He says, good morning, David. Our leaders are our problem. When you point your thumb at someone, the rest of the 4 points back to yourself. We are now dealing with government by president, by the family, and for the friends. The system that had replaced democracy in Africa and Ghana as well. We do pray for doom, but if care is not taken, we will experience a lot ahead. This is from Kingsley. He said, and please, can you give us the date for the event you said will be happening
26th to the 28th at the Kumasi City Mall. We call it the Habitat Fair, the Love FM Habitat Fair. It's everything housing. So join us.
Yes, and this is from Dr. Downblow. He says Ghanaians are gradually running out of patience. The economy is in shameful state. This has been necessitated by unbelievable hardship, unemployment, and it's at all-time high. Despondent state we find ourselves. Sadly, there seems not to be an end to this bizarre circumstance. The unemployment crisis is a major threat to the survival of the economy, and the president seems to have less ideas on governance.
I hear you. Well, thanks, Leo Stanley Boaite. And we have some messages here. Join Jumia Black Friday excitement. Jumia Black Friday Explosion Day will be live with super deals on Friday, the 12th of November. That's tomorrow. Don't forget it. Grab your phone, download the Jumia app, and enjoy up to 80%